include failure to comply with the provisions of this chapter or any other rule or regulation adopted pursuant to this chapter. Other grounds contained in regulations adopted by a licensing order authority pursuant to this chapter. And failure to comply with any state law except as provided for in this chapter or under California law. So grounds for disciplinary action. Disciplinary action doesn't sound too bad, but they're going to define, later they're going to say, well, disciplinary action is grounds for revocation or suspension of your license. So disciplinary action, by doing these things, is really giving them grounds to actually just cut you out of the picture. And that's the idea. The goal is to make it so easy to just get rid of all the little guys. They're going to make it where one little mistake, one little omission, one little, oh, I forgot to include this in my application, one little accounting error, and you've created a disciplinary action, which is later defined as grounds for revocation. So it'll be so easy just to wipe all you guys out. When they get that 5-year period, they can bring in the big growers, the unlimited grows, which are created in AUMA, and get rid of all you guys. And yeah, that's the plan. Okay, and 193.112 allows the states and local licensing authorities the power to suspend and revoke a license for committing any other grounds. So anybody, state or local, can go ahead and run that disciplinary action and run you out. And as you will see later, there's a financial incentive for them to do that. Because later they're going to describe how if the city wants to take a disciplinary action and they want to get the big fine and the big $30,000 per occurrence fine for disciplinary actions, they get to keep the money. So it's there's a lot of incentive for them to bring you guys all in and whack you all with $30,000 fines if they have the power to do. Yeah, 19314. Now this is scary right here. Creates a 5-year window for alleging past actions or omissions, which will constitute grounds for, there it is, disciplinary action. Allegations of fraud or misrepresentation will have no statute of limitations, except that the authorities have 5 years after discovery to file charges. Okay, this setup right here, this 5-year window thing, is it's pretty scary, because what it does is it allows them to review anybody's application for omissions or mistakes, and as long as within 5 years if they file, then they got you, they can throw you out. So 5 years they've got to get rid of you. And as it's going to show, the whole idea is basically to get rid of you. So this is, that 5-year window just makes it really easy for them to be able to get rid of all the small grows. 19315. That allows local control over the entire process of licensing and enforcing rules, including making their own fines and penalties. Order 9316 requires that at a minimum, cities and counties who want to adopt standards adopt at least the state standards. They can go beyond that though, and they create more than the state. As long as the minimum standard is met by the state, cities can add more regulations, more restrictions, anything they want. Counties can also get into the game, so you can be regulated on the county level, the city level, and the state level all at once. Each one having their own regulation, each one having their own license. Just crazy. Okay, 19318. Anyone caught growing pot without a license subject to a daily fine of 2 times the amount of the license fee that would be applicable to their grow. Okay, we already talked about that. Here it is. They're bringing it back, but they're making it a little more onerous now. This fine is retroactive, compounds daily, and is enforceable by any state or local authority with enforcing authorities getting the proceeds of the fine. This civil fine is in addition to any criminal penalties, which you are also facing if you illegally grow pot. For illegally growing pot. The chapter's fines, crimes, and penalties also apply to Prop 215 patients and providers caught growing in cities and counties that prohibit grow, or in any and all counties where they're found to be growing more than the canopy allowed by MRSA. So Prop 215 has no protection here, or they're taking the protection away in 19318. Okay, 19320, licensing. Okay, this just talks about if any of your up to 3 licenses gets revoked, your other licenses are automatically revoked too. And so any licensing agency can revoke or suspend your license, and you're out of luck. So that's basically what that is saying. Upon date of implementation of regulations, only qualified applicants which have been issued state and local licenses, both, you have to have them both, may legally operate. That date of implementation, that's January 1st, 2018. Everyone else will be subject to fines and criminal penalties. So if you don't have your gig together by January 1st, 2018, or when they start issuing licenses, which technically can be before that, you're a criminal. You're immediately a criminal. Yeah, this affirms again that in addition to the tax and fees implemented in MRSA, the local entities have unlimited power to assess additional taxes and fees. Subsection D. In addition to the provisions of this chapter, local jurisdictions retain the power to assess fees and taxes as applicable on facilities that are licensed pursuant to this chapter and the business activity of those licenses. There's no limitation to what they can do. There's no limitation in that section right there. All right, moving down, regulation, medical marijuana regulation. You have the owner's requirements that all the licensees have to keep meticulous records on hand for 7 years, complete and accurate. And here's where they bring in the $30,000 fine. If your records aren't complete and accurate, you can be fined $30,000 for each separate violation, So I guess that means a few mistakes, 3 mistakes is $90,000. So it's another easy way just to wipe people out. Just find a few omissions and mistakes in their not so meticulous records, and boom, they're gone. Yeah, the theme throughout this is ways to get rid of people, ways to end the little guy, because like I said, we're getting to the good stuff here. We're almost in AUMA, where the federal government takes control, Monsanto takes control, the corporations take control, and the little guy is left. If you go pot in your backyard, you might as well be brewing, distilling alcohol, because it's the same exact thing. That's what this all moving. All this is all smoke and mirrors, all these crazy regulations and all these crazy fines. It's all smoke and mirrors. The ultimate goal is to do what they've done in the past 80 years, which is heavily restrict the medical use and the industrial use of cannabis. They want to do it through legalization for the next 80 years. And AUMA will pull it off. Moving down, let's see, 19330 allows employers to fire or refuse to hire cannabis users. So they specifically give employers the right to not only maintain a work-free drug place, but maintain a cannabis user-free workplace. The rest of it's just a bunch of stuff about all the crazy stuff you have to do now to be a licensee.
In 10 minutes, we can clean up the things.
Okay. All right, let me just cut right to AUMA then. That's it for those other ones.
Just because we have to read until 9, so.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna go right to AUMA here. I'm just gonna jump on the main points, which demonstrate how everything I was just saying. Crazy wording. Okay, AUMA, it contains some references that appear to protect Proposition 215. I'm passing it.
Guys, can't stop.
And one of these is 11362.45, specifically the last part of that. And what it says is that nothing in section 11362.1, 11362.1 is the basic, is AUMA's version of legalizing pot. You know, 11362.1 is where they allow you to smoke marijuana legally, buy marijuana legally if you're 21 and older, and describes how you go about doing that. But it gives you all your rights, you know, your little 10 by 10 grow and all that. And at the end of this 11362.45, they